Доброго дня, шановне зібрання. Доброго дня всіх, хто долучився до нашої конференції.
Good afternoon, everyone who is here in this room, and good afternoon and welcome everyone who has joined our conference.
Насправді нам дуже важливо, що сьогодні ми разом.
It is very important for us to be together.
Оскільки тема, яку ми сьогодні будемо піднімати, є дуже актуальною і важливою для нас. Незважаючи, що, на щастя, ця проблема є не так часто зустрічаємою,
Although fortunately this is not a very frequent problem,
організація супроводу і допомоги даній категорії дітей є мало вивчена. Тому ваш досвід, ваша допомога для нас вкрай важлива.
the organization of support of children with such diseases is not very familiar to us, and that's why our experience is extremely important.
В нашій аудиторії зібралися батьки, які виховують дітей з таким захворюванням, як м'язова дистрофія Дюшена.
Today in this room we have parents of children with the disease of muscular dystrophy of Duchenne.
Педагоги, які супроводжують дітей в навчальному процесі.
Here we have teachers who accompany these children during studies.
Сьогодні маю за честь презентувати наш маленький, але, на нашу думку, успішний досвід.
And today I'm honored to present our small but very successful experience.
Я, як директор інклюзивно-ресурсного центру, засвідчую, що, принаймні в нашому місті, це перший досвід, коли дитина відвідує навчальний заклад, а не навчається вдома.
And as a director of our town's inclusive resource center, I'm proud to tell that we have one child who is actually able to go to school instead of studying individually at home. Today, I'll be very happy to share our experience step by step, and I would really appreciate your feedback. The name of my presentation is Open Space. First of all, the child who needs support when this kid gets inside the school, we conducted preparatory work with parents and with students of that school. Children had individual classes. There is special equipment in our center that helps a child in rehabilitation and studies. We have a very regular, typical equipment. That's why if people who are listening and watching us have some advices upon that, we will be very glad to hear them. This equipment was purchased with the help of the US Peace Corps, and we are very grateful for that. And we are always ready to share this equipment with other schools of our town. We are able to hold special trainings for teachers who will continue working with such kids. I would like to say a few words about a very important aspect. It is our staff, the personnel, which actually elaborates the specific programs for such children. We have a team consisting of teachers of rehabilitation and physical training, psychologists,
Therapist.
We also hold a regular inclusive summer camp. The regular summer camps in Ukraine are not always ready to accept such children. That's why we organized our own. I would really appreciate if our audience, people who are watching us, have any ideas or any advices on that. We would like to hear them to involve as much children as possible. We also have an experience of connecting our children with their peers in foreign countries. We would like to broaden this friendship, these contacts with children, with the same children from other countries, other continents, because it really enriches their life. And I hope that today's conference will be a start of such new contacts and friendship. Thank you very much for your attention, and now I would like to show a video telling about a child being included into the educational process.
Директор
This is a school principal of the school where the inclusion is happening at the moment, and she is sharing her thoughts about the process. She's telling that children feel comfortable and that the teachers have gone through a special training of working with such children. At the moment, you can see Daniel, who is one of the first kids to attend a regular school. He has many friends and he seems to be very happy. Here in this room, we have a teacher of special physical education. Thanks to her, aside from regular studies at school, Daniel has a chance to have special classes of physical education with her. We are very thankful to this teacher because it's only because of her Daniel attends school with other children, otherwise he would have stayed at home. I would like to pass a word to a teacher who actually works and supports this child. Hello, I'm Daniel's physical therapist, and we've been working with him for almost 3 years now, and during that time we have become very good friends. I would like to mention that everything that we do in this case, it comes right from our hearts, and we are trying our best to make the life easier for these kids. That's why we are always thinking about the ways for improvement of the educational space for this kid. This is one of the reasons we initiated this international conference, to see some ways for improvements and to make contacts with similar organizations. Here in this room, we have several mothers of sons who are already teenagers and who haven't had the experience of inclusion into schools. And right now for them, this process is very difficult and important. We would like to pass a word on to the assistant teacher who works with this boy. Hello everyone, I would like to share my experience as a physical therapist of working with such children. And I would like to share some thoughts about working with children with such diagnosis. In order to preserve the muscle elasticity and to avoid contractures, we apply our own program of physical exercises. Much attention is given to stretching exercises and breathing exercises. Special attention is given to monitoring the respiratory functions during exercising. We try to do the exercises not changing their order without any pressure. Upon completion of exercises, we always apply massage. We do the light feet and leg massage to minimize the pain after exercises. We do the exercises on a daily basis, and we try our best to help these children. If any physical therapists who are watching us now would like to ask any questions, I'll be ready to answer them. Thank you. Hello, dear participants of International Online Meeting. My name is Alina Yashchenko. I'm the head of the civic organization Duchenne Ukraine. My brother has a myodystrophy, Duchenne myodystrophy. The discovery of this disease happened when he was 6 years old and went to primary school. This disease belongs to orphan disease group of orphan diseases, and it requires very costly treatment during the lifetime. After monitoring the situation with such disease around Ukraine, my friends and I saw that this situation is not very good, and that's why to improve it, we decided to form or organize our own NGO. We are still very young as organization, but we already have some achievements. We have created a website which has a motto to fight and to conquer muscular dystrophy as a large family. This slogan means that there is no family that can cope with this problem alone. Every family needs the help of government, teachers, physical therapists, and other physicians. Only united efforts of everyone will help such children to grow, to become independent, and to build their own families. We also organized the translation of the international protocol from English into Ukrainian, and also the translation of the manual for families of such children. We are very thankful to everyone who took part in this process, especially to the doctors who helped in adapting these materials for Ukrainian families. Recently, we have received the permission of the Lancet organization for publishing the protocol on the site of International Organization of Neuromuscular Diseases in Ukrainian language. We are very thankful to Israel for sharing their experience. Also, we are thankful to representatives of Czech Republic, France. Our website contains the whole legislature connected to social protection and rehabilitation. Also, the legislature on inclusive education, medicine. We also have the roadmap, history of different families.
Thanks to all for the attention.
Hello, everyone. I am Yashenko Margarita, and I am the mother of the son who has Duchenne Muscular Dystrophy. Every year, we go to Israel for consultations with medical professor. When I went to Israel for the first time with this problem, it seems like we have started our lives anew. Our family realized that Duchenne disease is not a sentence, but it is a special lifestyle. Starting from 2013 up till now, our family has collected the archive of videos. These videos include our hippotherapy, hydrotherapy, and physiotherapy that my son went through being in Israel. These are amateur videos and like home videos, but whenever any family asks us, we are ready to share them with everyone. And the people I would like to express my thanks to is the Israel organization Little Steps. In Israel, we don't just go to consultations and therapy, but we have a very nice experience of communicating with families having such children, and we are learning their lifestyles. I would like to thank Mila Gumanovsky for her writing an article for our magazine. It was issued upon the initiative of our famous physicians. This is the first issue of such magazine, which includes articles of doctors, teachers, and families with Duchenne. We would like to pass the word to Mila Gumanovsky to tell us about the situation in Israel.
Can you speak more louder, please?
More louder? Can you hear me?
Yes, that's better. Thank you.
Okay. So I can speak in English, or I could speak also in Russian. So what do you prefer? My presentation is in English.
At first English, and then
You will translate to Russian.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's do it like this. So today I would like to present the situation of Duchenne muscular dystrophy and Becker muscular dystrophy in Israel. Here with me is, my name is Mira, and this is Michal Gudinsky-Leshiv. She is the director of our Center of Patient Support in the organization, and she just developed our patients community in Israel. In a few minutes, I will tell you about the situation. So, hello everybody. A bit of epidemiology situation in Israel. So in Israel, there are around 350 patients with Duchenne and Becker muscular dystrophy. 100 of them are adults above 18 years old, and 90 patients are with Becker muscular dystrophy. We have 4 multidisciplinary pediatric clinics. We are now working on establishing a multidisciplinary clinic for adults. It is in the process. Mean age of diagnosis is 3.5 years old, and Mean age of loss of ambulation is like a statistical one, 12 years old. Every year we have around 15 new diagnoses in Israel, and about the medical support. So we have most of the medical support which is in guideline for management of Duchenne muscular dystrophy. With new drugs, we have our patients get ataluren, which is Translarna, and eteplirsen. It's not sponsored by the government basket of health, but it's sponsored by health maintenance organizations. It's kind of low-cost insurance companies that provide these drugs. It was mostly our achievement, what all the families who can, who fits genetically these drugs can get them without any cost. In addition, we have now ongoing 5 clinical trials. Okay, as most of the trials were coming to Israel on 3rd stage, which is international stage of clinical trials. About our organization. So Little Steps was founded in 2010. It was founded by 4 families, and she's like, okay, I will in a minute. So it's founded 2010. Our main goals, we are working in 4 different directions. First of all, raise awareness about the Duchenne muscular dystrophy, improve the quality of treatments and quality of life, create supportive community, and we will talk about this, and promote research for finding a cure. So we have quite a lot of achievements during these 10 years, but the main achievements are we established a national registry for patients. So we are, because we have a really strong community, so we have a really good connection with most of the families. And we have also medical information of families, which goes to our registry. This helps us promote a lot of services, medical treatments for families, and to work directly with government and pharmaceutical companies. We have okay, one of the result of our work is establishment of a multidisciplinary clinic, because before the organization was established, there is nothing for Duchenne in Israel, and now we have 4 clinics and we are working for 5th one. We have okay, one of the achievements is a fast track to get disability allowance. Like before it was done, patients who needed support and like monthly amount of money for their disability, so they have to go a really annoying no, committee in order to prove that they are disabled. It took like a year and more in order to prove and to get their rights. And now it's like after they have the diagnosis, they automatically get their rights only by the diagnosis. Okay, let's see. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, perfect. We have a big project of service dogs, and as I said, our team, the woman with the heart, she is the CEO of the organization, Tali Kaplan. She is really heart of the team and the steam of the team, and she has son with Becker muscular dystrophy. She's leading all this fight. This is her life. So in the upper on the above row is Sharon, from left to right, Sharon and Michal. Michal is here. They're like our heart of community, all the connection with families, all social rights, educational, psychological support, all what people need in everyday life is like them, and they make magic in this area. Here, and this is in on the right side, the big head is the Kineret. She is our public relation. and raise awareness and charity. And me in the middle, I am in charge for treatment and clinical trials and research area. Okay, so the organization, every patient organization, they are like in the middle of everything. Like we see what happens with patients in everyday life, what is the pains of patient, what happens. We see what happens with the system, with medical services, what lack of the treatments in medical services and which age in each area. So we see everything. We can connect directly to the government and to ask about all different requests about the disease, because a lot of laws they was created a long time ago, and it wasn't such awareness about rare diseases and a lot of different kinds of diseases. So it should be changing constantly, and we are just discussing this with the government in order to get our families a better life. We also, I have a problem with internet. Can you hear me? So we are also connected with pharmaceutical companies, because actually this is the source of money. I'm just saying it's like as is. And they can provide a lot of money for good for families and a lot of support in treatments, and establish much better treatments, much better clinical trials, what could fit families. In other hand, if there is no commitment to clinical trials, there will be no drug in the future, because it's like both ways. The families should participate, and then pharmaceutical companies will develop drugs. We are like partners with them, so we're trying to get best clinical trials for patients who will be in Israel, and just give them support for recruitment to clinical trials. We just communicate the information, because there is a lot of a big gap, because between what happens with pharmaceutical companies and what happens with families. Families live their life. Pharmaceutical companies want to have money and treatments, and that's it. And it should be they should speak which is other same language, and it should be done convenient in both ways. So last thing is research, because we all need better drugs, better working drugs. We want to cure the disease, and without research, it can't be done. And a lot of things what I saw that research is like people in academia, they're different state of mind. They want to publish, and they don't know how continue from this publishment for this paper to actual treatments. And we just facilitate this research as well. Okay.
Mila,
Yeah.
don't forget about translation.
Russian? Okay, sorry. Okay. The last one is international standards, because we have a lot of collaboration, and we see how it works. This is the last one, and I will translate all the slides, okay? I will do it fast. So international standards, we just collaborate with other organizations, see how it works around the world, and then brings the best things home, like this. So now I'm going for a 4-hour, okay. As I said previously, we are acting in 4 different directions. So and I will go fast through each of the directions, and then Michal will speak about supportive community. So in direction of raising awareness, it's like in two main parts. Raise awareness within families, because it's rare disease, a lot of different information in internet, which is confusing, and sometimes it's just scary, and sometimes it's just wrong. And family not always know what's true, what's not true. And on the other hand, in medical services, a lot of, it's not crowding, but doctors don't have enough time and patience to explain and give this information for each family in a good way. So we also have this work in order to family to know what now happens with Duchenne, which are treatments, which are clinical trials, what will be in future, where they have this multidisciplinary clinic, what family can get from the government, because there's a lot of social rights, but nobody speaks about it. So we just need make it more ordered in order to each family can use it. So this like we have a lot of translation of standards of care, of psychological support, of educational support in schools, first year or after diagnosis. And we just translated a really good book from Australian parent, how to explain a small children like 4 years old about Duchenne, about the diagnosis, like a book for children. And also we have a lot of meetings, webinar, master classes, informational days, and once in 2 years we give conference in order to update what happens with the diseases, like one-day conference about clinical trials, or mostly about clinical trials and treatments. And of course, another arm is awareness outside of the community, is to raise awareness in regular population about the disease, how to get another disabled child, and that we are special in some kind, everybody of us, they are special in something else. So we work a lot with schools, and we have a lot of lectures with schools, and we have stories of patients in newspapers, TV, and we have a lot of charity events. And one of our really achievements this year, we got a genetic test for general population, genetic test for Duchenne, which is covered by government. It's like free of charge for everybody who wants to be pregnant, each woman who wants to be pregnant. Before that, it was free test. I don't remember, Tizax, something. Today is 4 tests, and Duchenne is included. Хорошо, продолжай. I'll continue. So another direction of the activity is improving quality of treatments and quality of life as well. So it's improvement on medical level. It's like new clinics. It's like this year we realized that every multidisciplinary clinic is supported by charity. It's not by only medical government, it should be charity support, otherwise it's not, it doesn't work. Okay, so in medical improvement, so we look in what happens in standards of care, what happens in cover, medical cover by the government, and then we just improve on what we improve for the gap between this standards of care and between what is covered. One of things what we also support is like if during the conferences, we bring to Israel really good, great specialists, world-leading specialists, and we give them to go through all the clinics in Israel in order to share their experience. In addition, we just sponsor some of our medical specialists if there is a good conference in Duchenne, so we just send the specialist to the conference in order for him to be updated. And legislation improvement, so we help not for drugs but for treatments, to like health technology assessments for basket of health in order to get new treatments which is not covered to be covered. And one of our achievements, as I said, about this disability pension. So now children get these disability pensions just by diagnosis. Another thing is with legislation is for ventilation patients. Once people only with tracheostomy got some extra money, now it's patients as well for 24 hours ventilation. And we have a support like Michal and me, we support families. They can call us by phone almost anytime and ask us questions by WhatsApp, by Facebook, by phone, and to know what is better for them in different situations. So we have like this telephone support all the time. So we also promote research in Duchenne and Baker muscular dystrophy. This is about preclinical research and clinical research. We established national registry in Israel, and as I said previously, we have most of medical documentation of families, and we have a really good statistical data about medical conditions of families and their distribution in country and which HMO they are belongs to. And this helps us a lot in order to give new rights for families. In addition, we funding new preclinical researches. We're working with several Israeli institutions and who has researchers in cell therapy, gene therapy, and we are now part of World Duchenne Scientific Organization board. So we are just discussing all the treatments which is going in Duchenne around the world. So in the scientific board is a really big organization like PPMD and Duchenne UK and World Duchenne Organization, Duchenne Spain, Italian organization, and us. And we are just share our disease, share our different researches in each country, how to make it better, how to share protocols, reviewers, in order to make finding of drugs to be faster and more efficient. And as well, we're promoting clinical trials. We just speak with pharmaceutical companies, brings the trials to Israel because we have multidisciplinary center and we have our national registry, so we can connect directly with patients who are fit clinical trials and tell them about clinical trials and ask them if they want to participate. And just we established, starting establishing a biobank. Biobank is samples of patients in order, sometimes if any researcher won't make any research, he needs some samples of patients in order to check the drug. So we have this biobank in order what every researcher all around the world could get samples, and no patients should be taken all the time again and again their samples. So,
Hello,
Hello.
do you hear me? My English is not so good, so if I will need help, Mila will help me. I'm social worker. I work in it for 5 years. At the beginning, we started to meet all the people, all the families, each one of the families around the country to learn how they deal with the disease. This conversation with the family, learn us and help us to make all the projects we build. At start, I meet every family when they diagnosis with the disease. I meet them in their house to see where they live, if the house suits to the development of the disease forward. And I tell them what there is now from the project that fits to them at this moment. But the main issue that we do in the first meeting with the family, usually it is when the child is very young, it's to help them to understand that the way they will look at their child, it will be very important the way that the child will become to be. What do I mean? If the parents feel sorry for their child, thinks that is life is going to be terrible. This is the way is going to grow up. If they will give them the child the message that he is smart enough and he has the ability to learn and to choose in a fulfilled life. So the challenge will be only to get over the physical problem. I show them adult people that get married, people with Duchenne, had child, learn to be in the academy, work, drive, have a fulfill life, social life, and I show them also the other side of children, adults that stays in the house, don't go out, have no hobbies or interested things, and it's very, very, very important for the parents in the position of the diagnosis. I will continue. I help families tell them all the rights. I am in contact with the schools and kindergarten, so they will be socialized in the normal school to help them get be with all the other children. So it includes elevator in school. It includes to take them to trip with other children with a suitable bus. It includes to take them to the trip with a special chair, and they don't miss nothing. They are always with their children with normal cognitive because they don't need to be in special schools and they don't need to be in the house. The children that is a good socialized are becoming to be adults that live a fulfilled life. All the projects that we make uh, meant to build their independence. Mila will translate and I will continue. Part of the project that we develop, it's supporting groups and psychological help. The parents in the first year get help from us. We make cooperation with association that give psychological support low cost to the family. We get uh, charity and we pay for the treatment. Also, it's very important to have a support group in a very specific issues. Families in the 2 years, 2 or 3 years after the diagnosis get along to sit together. Their process will be different from parents uh, in the transition from young to teenager to adult. Groups for the adult, we used to make groups that they get along together, and it was especially to work on their independence. Now we connect with them in the internet. It's easier from them. Besides that, we think all the time about their the thing they deal with, and we try to give the answer before. What do I mean? The parents get the information about becoming adult with independent adult, about drive license and to live alone, to volunteer to the army, how to go to the academy, and they get all the rights already when they are teenagers. So they are not going to get to the adult age and say, what are we going to do now? This way they can learn about all the rights and to pick up the way that's suitable for them. We keep in contact with the families in all media, with Facebook, by phone, and by WhatsApp, and it's make them feel like it's one big family. They can ask questions. A lot of time I connect between people with same similar problem or similar issues that they deal with, like PGT, like the same ages, the same religion, the same area of living. Our goal is to make a community that feels like one big family. Our next conference is going to be with the children, with the healthy children and the sick children, and the parents we can listen all the information when the children can be together. This way, the children can see another children with the disease, brothers and sisters can have friends for the way to get along with. More programs that uh, we development is the service dogs. It's dog that trains to do physical function, like to pick up things, to give things to the child or the adult, to open the door, and to help them transfer if they can from the bed to the chair, to give them the phone, to light up the light, and all this is to let them feel that they don't need all the time to be helped by another person. They can do things by themselves. Children can stay alone for half an hour when the parents need to go out. It makes them feel independence. The project of surfing, it's a very suitable project that make them feel very good and to self-confidence, even though they probably cannot do it when they are adult, but their self-esteem is getting better and better by doing all the time functions that make them feel good.
Да, Мила, время уже подошло к концу. Мы очень благодарны вам. Да, спасибо за информацию.
Спасибо огромное. Тогда спасибо. Всего доброго.
Now we would like to invite to our conversation David Petras, the member of the organization End Duchenne and the brother of the adult with Duchenne disease. Needless to say, Czech Republic was one of the first in Europe to introduce the register of Duchenne patients.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Just wait a minute. I prepared the presentation, okay? Or is it possible that I send you my presentation? Can you put it on screen, my presentation?
While we're having this technical issue with our Czech colleague, We have a chance to introduce slides sent to us by Deb Robbins, the representative from Australia. She would like to share her experience, or maybe you're ready to talk now. David? David?
Not yet. I need 2 or 3 minutes. Just you can continue.
Can we go on with the slides of the Australians now? If you are delayed 10 minutes, would you mind?
Yes, you can start. We don't want to interrupt this meeting, okay?
We can use 10 minutes, right?
You can use whatever you want. You are the leader, so do whatever you want.
Okay, then we'll continue with the Australian slides and then come back to you. Okay?
Yes, okay, fine.
Ми австралійські зараз подивимося, потім повернемося до нього. Добре. Да.
We may start, and I just represent her speech. My son is 32 years now, so advocating has taken up my non-working hours for much of the past 25 years or so. Douglas is a trained actor, starting at age 5 as Santa Claus. And 2 years ago, his second professional play. He does some amateur theater too. I was co-founder of the Duchenne specific organization in 2003 and played a lead role for over 13 years before leaving in 2016. It wound up shortly after. I estimate today there would be around 400 families in Australia connected with the state MDA or a Duchenne specific charity. Little Cooper started in our WDAD campaign a couple of years ago, and like most young boys, he took steroids from a young age, 3 or 4 years old. For a small percentage of boys who keep their weight down, they may walk to late teens. Small boys are also given night splints, ankle orthosis, calcium, and possibly other supplements. And in later childhood, an ACE inhibitor for preventative heart maintenance in line with world consensus. Some may wish to take exploronone and antifibrotic, but the cost is high. Government subsidy is not available without a history of heart attack. Our petition in 2010 attracted 5,000 signatures. It was for free. But meeting politicians and writing letters was quietly successful and led to the creation of the National Australian Neuromuscular Disorders Registry for Duchenne and later all NMDs. Sometimes highly publicized, costly advocacy will be unsound and produce zero outcomes for boys. Working behind the scenes is sometimes better. People with disabilities, they didn't get a lot of government support, but up until about 6 years ago, a partially subsidy for a wheelchair and vehicle, and the family paid the gap. And very few people received funds, usually the people on the welfare for respite. Now, since the NDIS people just apply, but things are not always approved, networking is key. This stretch board was designed by a Russian dad who kindly let us write a sheet about it. The whole disabled community made submission to a productivity insurance scheme was brought into being. It was bought in a welfare and government money set aside not through insurance scheme, and it was rolled out in geographic areas without addressing greatest need first. It can be frustrating, but supposedly a person can have what it deemed reasonable and necessary. There is great disparity between funds available to people with the same condition. The ability industry is booming, costs are high. Our world-famous patient spoke at many international events annually, and being our conference convener, known who to invite back to our country. As a secretary, president, advocate, I was sponsored a couple of times by 2 US conferences by PPMD, and I paid my own way a couple of times. My organization paid once, so it wasn't often as we weren't in financial position, but Helen Pozold brought information back for us every few months. We always disseminated reports and WTO publications and webinars, modified emergency cards, and brought out guides. Doug was a lot bigger teen and weighed as much as 90 kilo, which might have kept him free of chest infections, plus a hot climate. Muscular Dystrophy QLD is a service provider for NDIS, and so the therapy services are very sought after. They also are very good at managing NDIS plans and obtaining very high budgets for clients. Other organizations steer towards society goals and sponsored walks. In the old days, we applied for equipment grants, tried fundraising campaigns, and held successful educational events. Assistance for modifying newer vehicles is given by the government. Wheelchairs seem to be the biggest piece of mobility equipment funded. Many obtained extra assistance to have standing wheelchairs features, but physical benefits are inconclusive. Taxi travel is subsidized 50% and further travel expenses can be planned for in the NDIS budget. In the beginning, family members paid a little for biannual national conferences, but I do not think they need to find sponsors to pay airfares to bring headliners. I am not involved in helping convene national conferences any longer. I used to obtain government grants for disadvantaged families to attend. Most who know how to apply will be able to get therapy and hydrotherapy approved from NDIS budget. Doug's warm until 17 years, but since his ventilator doesn't feel safe in the water. The size of the NDIS plan depends upon a person's age and ambitions. Every year or two, a new plan can be written. A young man living independently can access between $200,000 to up to $400,000 a year for core staff supports from the NDIS. Many graduate technical college university. Usually a school is given as a psychology of Duchenne by Joss Hendrickson and Alice Froome, and family will speak to staff and sometimes children. We used to show children and their peers and their brain pop animation to help them understand. Provisions made for children can include some patient time and aid to assist or set up computer or a help toilet. Not sure about security measures and psychologists nowadays with the NDIS. The government used to supply a teacher aid if necessary to keep an eye on a boy in the playground. Transport is provided to school too. The school experience is totally dependent upon circumstances. Many do struggle for acceptance. Parents do have to assist to nurture that, but some fit in very well. The school experience is totally dependent upon circumstances. Many do struggle for acceptance. Parents do have to assist to nurture that, but some fit in very well. The child knows he is weak before anyone else, answers to his eventual questions because he will want to let you know that he knows, should be trustful, age appropriate and inspiring. I've known a few men to have jobs like desk jobs in football clubs, in that's their passion, drone photography, and Doug has only worked in 2 professional performances and as a marriage celebrant. Savan Thakur is presented. You can see him right now. He passed away last year in his late 20s, worked in the Melbourne Biomedical Lab of Gordon Lynch before he could finish his PhD on heat shock proteins. This preclinical work is important. I miss him very much as we volunteered together on at least 2 national Duchenne Awareness Day campaigns. It is lighting buildings red and big screens showing video clips and etc. Now you can see Chris Fryer. He is 40 years old and he lost his twin brother in 2018, but he still continues to design expensive open source assistive technology for persons with disability. Now you can see John Franco mine. His late 20s also passed away last winter. He was the accountant on the family dairy. Okay, what is your opinion? What are the prospects to liquidate the Duchenne disease? There is like no end in DMD. We just have to keep improving our sons' lives with quality and try to stretch that out as far into each child's future as possible. I personally have little faith in the cocktail series, since some of the ingredients in the cocktail have not been proven effective in isolation. It means perhaps that unnecessary and costly treatment is being given whilst another drugs does not work. I don't believe children respond well enough to exon skipping, and I'd like to think with more genetic knowledge about my children respond differently to treatments, and perhaps CRISPs or some new approaches entirely that only proven treatment that ravages children so much, like steroids, can be replaced. Last year, Doug married Lauren, having moved in with her 2 years ago. Always having a new goal is key to survival.
We would like to send our special words of appreciation to Deb for sharing her presentation, for sharing her experience, which is very important for us and for our country. And especially we would like to give her appraisal for her everyday struggle to improve the quality of her son's life. And now we are returning to David. David, can you hear us?
I'm ready, and sorry for the delay. My name is David, and I work for a patient organization from the Czech Republic called Duchenne since the year 2013. And now I would like to explain you how we started and how we get into what we do now. So as already has been said, my younger brother was when he was diagnosed with DMD, my parents established the first patient organization in the Czech Republic called Parent Project. And at the time, there was really no insight and no information whatsoever about the guidelines on treatment, physiotherapy, or research. And so my parents were able to create the first community for DMD and BMD. And the main goal they had back then was to improve the specialized care and to create a patient registry. And in 2004, they managed to do so. And since then, there is also a specialized doctor office in Prague, which is there available to this day. And this registry was one of the first in the Central and Eastern Europe, as already has been said. And during these times, we estimate that there are about 250 or 300 patients with DMD, BMD. And throughout the years, we were able to obtain a huge financial assets from, for example, charity events. And with these assets, we supported the genetic laboratories for them to buy equipment, or we used the money for educating physicians. I'm sorry, not we, but Parent Project. They also organized conferences and family meetings. Throughout the years, Parent Project was also able to bring into reality testing with Protandim and Halean 951, and they also managed to make happen a clinical trials with drugs like ataluren and drisapersen.
Is that possible to put out the names of the drugs to make them stand out somehow? Because we couldn't hear clearly the names of the drugs.
You want me to describe the drugs?
No, the names again, the names.
Ataluren.
To show the names, it's here on the screen. Ataluren and Drissa Person. Yes, thank you. So later on, my mother, which was the original founder of the Parent Project organization, and a few other people decided they want to do things in a different way. And so they decided in 2013 to establish a second patient organization called Duchenne. And the main goal of Duchenne is to focus on adults with DMD and BMD and to improve the quality, the lifespan of life of these patients. Is it okay? Fine. And to make systematic changes on the government level in the field of comprehensive care and social subsidies, and to enable these patients to lead an independent life. And since then, we have been working with many experts, and we were able to bring about several very important projects. And the first one is Breathing the New Life. And the reason this project was established was that still to this time in the Czech Republic, only patients who undergo tracheostomy can get subsidy from government for their equipment. And so the reason probably was that specialists and physicians in Czech Republic and the whole national health system wasn't aware of the fact that there is an alternative to tracheostomy that is called a mouthpiece ventilation or non-invasive ventilation, which is in the end a lot cheaper. And in the year 2014, the situation here was that many DMD patients were experiencing a breathing failure and were needed to go to hospital. And the problem that they ended in a critical state in hospitals was that they were using night ventilation devices, BiPAP, which they used during the night. They used these devices also during the day, and that caused that they were suffering from daily hypercapnia.
Говорит, что почему люди оказывались в столь сложной ситуации, потому что они использовали неинвазивную вентиляцию легких. В этом была вся суть проблемы.
And the problem was also with the fact that the ventilation support in the Czech Republic was limited only to sleep laboratories, which provided ventilation support only during the night. The problem was that ventilation support in the Czech Republic was limited only to sleep laboratories, which provided ventilation support only during the night. And just for your information, between the years 2010 and 2013, only about 18% of Czech patients with DMD aged over 15 years had this non-invasive ventilation. Had ventilation support. And so my mother found that there is a world-renowned specialist, Dr. Michel Tezan from Belgium. And this doctor, he flew over to the Czech Republic within the 14 days, and he brought with him this non-invasive ventilation device. And he set it up for my brother, who was at the time suffering from daily hypercapnia. And this doctor, when he was leaving, he just said, okay, you can keep the device. This is just a gift from Belgium clinic. Don't worry. And so my brother was, I don't want to brag about anything. We don't want to brag about anything, but my brother was essentially the first one who was given this non-invasive ventilation support in the Czech Republic. So as I said, we needed to change the legislation. So we had over the years many meetings with government officials, with national, we went on the ground of National Ministry of Health in the Czech Republic. We led several discussions with them, and we also organized many let's say events aimed for education of people of general public. Yeah, so this project, the results of the projects still to this day are that we managed to increase the lifespan because of these patients, because we know that non-invasive ventilation and the ventilation in general can increase the lifespan of these DMD patients about 10 or 15 years. And it is also an improvement in the quality of life, because the tracheostomy can cause many difficulties, and this is also cheaper, as I said.
Але для того, щоб цього досягнути, на шляху є дуже багато обмежень і складностей.
And in this year, we are waiting for the Czech Parliament to decide whether these patients will get these ventilation devices, but not only DMD patients, but all patients living with neuromuscular diseases. If this is gonna pass through, all patients with neuromuscular diseases will get two ventilation devices with a backup source.
With a what? I'm sorry.
Okay, may I repeat it again, or just the end?
Just the last phrase. With this law, all neuromuscular patients will be able to get
all neuromuscular patients will get, if this legislation will pass through, they will get two ventilation devices covered by state with backup device. And we, in the end, because of this project, because we have this project, is because mainly thanks to Australia. So we would like to thank to Australia, to Deb Robbins, Doc Robbins, and Scott Harry, who gave us the most valuable information and insight about the right ventilation devices to use. So, and the second biggest project we have is a Lifebuoy for families with the DMD and BMD. This project was established mainly because of the fact that our government is not sufficiently cover the relief-related social services for families, so they can rest. Because the current situation in the Czech Republic is that even there is some amount of money the government will give you on subsidies, there is still only about 4 hours per day that you can afford to pay for personal carer. So because the families which look after their children with DMD, they need help too, because if they won't get help, they won't be able to help other people. And also this project is aimed to educate personal carers. So we, throughout the years, we've been organizing, as I said already, public events where we invited all sorts of people, local carers, and we gave them guidelines on how to properly assist. And I will show you. This is the recent publication, which was written by Janet Hoskin. It is it's called Guide to Duchenne Muscular Dystrophy, and it is meant for families and for specialists, for personal carers to read so they can understand Duchenne muscular dystrophy better.
The way we also have such this guideline printed in Ukrainian. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. And this project has a few other sub-projects, and one of them is a project called Mentor Families, which means that we, as I've already said, we had in Czech Republic, we had many families which were taking care of their children for many years, so they have plenty of experience. And it works in a way that other families that they are either newly diagnosed, or they just don't have enough information. These families can ask those mentor families, and they will help them. And the next sub-project is a map, is a interactive Google map where families can point in this map their, for example, physicians they attend, or physiotherapists they attend, or their places where they spend their holidays, and etc. etc. And the last sub-project is called Extra Hands, and it is a web application which was developed to provide people seeking help. These people who seek help, people with disabilities, can find personal carers on this website. And this project is not only meant for DMD patients. This is nationwide. You can find here, if you have any sort of disability, you can use this and you can find your personal carer. And in the opposite way, it works also because personal carers can go to this website and they can find whoever they want to help, for whoever they want to work. So let's talk about the treatment in the Czech Republic. We have currently in use a Translarna, and this drug is administered only to ambulant patients. Ambulant patient, this means patients who are still walking. And the second one is idebenone, but currently it's not available. It was available in the past.
Говорит, также применяется у них идобинон, но на данный момент он у них отсутствует, но ранее этот препарат у них был.
But what happened was that idebenone was classified as a food supplement. And the government decided, oh, no, this is not food supplement, this is a drug. So from now on, it is a drug.
Поэтому его изъяли.
So that means that in the end, you need to have a license to import it to the Czech Republic. So it's not available here anymore. Thanks to our government. Thank you. And when it comes to ongoing clinical tests, currently, from what we know, there is only one ongoing clinical test. Right now, from what we know, we currently have only one clinical test going on in the Czech Republic.
Окей, текст. На даному етапі на даному етапі зараз триває лише одне клінічне дослідження в Чеській Республіці.
And the principal investigator of this study, Dr. Jana Habelova, is a partner in the Vision DMD project. Yeah, the name is Jana Habelova, physician. And she said that we don't have a tradition of multidisciplinary care for neuromuscular disorders. And she also said that we don't have a long tradition in the neuromuscular program in the Czech Republic. And below you can see upcoming clinical tests with golodirsen and casimersen, and these two drugs are exon skipping oriented.
These two drugs are
Exon skipping oriented.
Окей. Нижче написані ті, які очікуються в клінічні дослідження, і назви препаратів, які досліджуватимуться.
And so the fact that we only have one clinical trial, the fact that we have a lack of clinical tests is mainly caused by a lack of and that is caused basically because they are too busy, they are overloaded, so they cannot participate on the international level in these clinical trials. And the hospitals are ineligible. They cannot, in most of the cases, they can't afford to be part of these clinical trials because they don't have, in many cases, they don't have the right equipment or they don't meet the right criteria to be involved in such tests. And the next reasons why we have a lack of clinical trials is that when you look at the European Medicines Agency, they, as we know, I don't want to criticize them in any way, but we know that they have a very strict rules. So the registration of new innovative drugs takes so damn long. And the next reason why we have, let's say, don't have enough medicine, I would say, the drugs themselves is because of the prices. The fact is that our government in the Czech Republic is, I think, our national health system in the Czech Republic is currently unavailable to pay for innovative drug, so all patients who should get it will get it.
Наразі система охорони здоров'я Чеської Республіки Чехія, на мою думку, просто не в змозі оплатити інновації в медицині.
And when we have the medicine, the let's say unethical thing about this is that there are involved only certain groups of patients. And when I should give you example, this was the case with Translarna, where younger patients will get this innovative drug, but when it comes to older ones who are in a more critical state, more critical health state, they don't get it.
Я можу навести приклад використання препарату Translarna, правильно? Коли видача, власне, цього препарату або доступність доступ до цього препарату надається дітям маленького віку, в той час як дорослі пацієнти знаходяться в більш критичному стані, тому, можливо, потребують його більше.
And all this despite the fact that this medicine will work the same way, will have the same effect by non-ambulant patients and in ambulant patients. So when we so this slide, just briefly, this is based on what I've already said. In the we need to change legislation at the government level in the Czech Republic. And we found after many years of trying that it is very difficult to persuade government officials and to make some changes happen. So we decided that we come together with other organizations which operate in the field of neuromuscular diseases. And so we contacted those other organizations in Czech Republic, and now we cooperate together, so we have a much bigger impact and we can achieve a lot more. Yeah, and this all includes, as I already said, comprehensive care. We need these services for the families so they can also improve their health, and we need more specialized physicians and so on. And I would also like to point out, when I come back, just for a moment, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I would like to point out just one more thing, that what we want in the Czech Republic, we want to establish a real neuromuscular center in the way they have it in Belgium. Mm-hmm. In a way that there is a one facility, it is one place where you can drop your child, for example, for a week, and then you as a parent can go for vacation or whatever. And the facility will take care of the child. They will adjust his wheelchair or ventilation device or whatever. They will run all the tests. And at the same time, during this stay, the child can attend some activities, and she will have fun there, the child. So now we can move on. I would like to present to you several events we gonna which will take place in the Czech Republic. And the main speakers of this event in July 2020 this year will be Marina De Marco from the UK, Michel Toussaint from Belgium, as I already mentioned him, and Margarita Yashchenko from Ukraine. And we also annually, every year, we organize some meetings for families from all over the Czech Republic, so they can meet each other after a long time, or they can meet new people. And when we talk about the money now, when it comes to obtaining money for running this patient organization and the projects we do in the Czech Republic, there is no subsidy which the government will give you out automatically. So that means you have to write a very good project on, and this very well describes very well what the goal is, what you're gonna do, and then they will decide based on what they receive, the government, from all the organizations in the Czech Republic, and they decide, all right, this organization will get the funding, this will not. And that's why we need to be funded. We need to be funded from general public, from private donors, and we also ask businesses for money. And but thankfully, we also have a friend of ours, a famous athlete, Lukáš Bauer, who supports DMD patients for more than 15 years in the Czech Republic. And recently, in the several few years, his team of long distance cross-country skiers joined in. So, as I've already said, the main goal, because of the fact that we now, as in Duchenne, mainly focus on adults with Duchenne, we are aiming to provide independent living for them in the future. And as I've already said, there is a lack of subsidies from states. So right now, these patients will have to get the money from other subjects, for example, from sponsors, like some businesses and etc., so they can achieve to live independently. But right now, we currently don't know about anyone who lives independently in this way. And if you're interested, I can end now if we have 2 more minutes, or how is the time, please? This is the last slide, by the way. Yeah. Okay, so just if you're interested, I can read you 2 or 3 more sentences about what our government cover. Okay. So you can in the Czech Republic, you can get a subsidy of about $600 if your child is confined to a wheelchair, and you will get this subsidy every month. And when the child with DMD needs a constant 24-hour per day care, you can get even more, of about $850 on subsidies every month. And there is also a possibility that children older than 15 years can be part of a retirement plan, which involves the family, that the family can get about $400 per month. And if you don't have any questions or anything like that, I will end, and thank you for your attention.
We are trying to get comments from our viewers, and right now Margarita is encouraging the viewers to ask questions to our previous speakers online.
Yes, I can hear you, but very little.
Okay, now it's better?
It's better.
Okay, just a second. And this way? Okay,
Yes,
so my question is, what is the difference between BPAP and MVP, mouthpiece ventilation? What's the difference between BPAP and MVP?
Well, as far as I know, the BiPAP is the device itself, you know, the box.
Okay.
And a mouthpiece ventilation term is just a term for the mean of ventilation. So it means the mouthpiece, the first word, means the thing that you
go to the mouth. Yeah.
So that's why it's called mouthpiece ventilation.
It's like a
this is with the same machine. So because in our case, in our country, is like all the patients were using BPAP. They first using CPAP and then BPAP 24 hours. With different changes with, yeah.
Різний термін. Вони просто говорять
This is the same, actually.
термінами. Просто один використовується там, пристрій один тиск.
Там відповіді на то. Do you want to ask me something? Nobody wants to ask. Okay, fine.
There are many questions, comments in the chat, in YouTube, yeah, but they are mostly connected with problems inside the country. In Ukrainian problems of this disease.
Ми не можемо їх озвучити.
And we are not reading them out loud because our international partners cannot answer them. We will answer them later. We would like to address the Ukrainian participants of online meeting. Maybe you have some questions for experience connected with experience exchange between these three countries. We have a question. The question is, most conferences are connected with medical aspects of families and patients with such disease. We are also interested in psychological and pedagogical support of such families. Do such conferences based on psychology for these children and families and education, specializing in their psychology and education, take place in your countries? How is this aspect being solved?
No. Yes, in the Czech Republic, we have a specialized pedagogical centers, and these subjects these facilities can assess your child, and they can create a educational plan for the child. And there are about 30 of those centers in the Czech Republic, and experts working in these centers will provide a plan for your child, so the child can achieve the best results in the school the child can. And we also have high schools which are specially equipped for people with disabilities.
Are those special separate schools, or do you mean the schools with inclusive education?
Well, these specialized centers are here for everybody. And we also have inclusion program in Czech Republic, but you still, as a citizen, you still have a choice whether your child will attend these special schools for people with disabilities, or whether your child will attend the special class which are inclusive.
Thank you very much. We are going to listen Germany. Anastasia. Hello.
Hello, can I start?
Yes.
Yeah, hi. To everybody, thank you, David. Thank you, Mila, for your interesting presentations. It was very nice to hear from you and to know you. My name is Anastasia once again, and I live in Germany since 8 years. Should I translate by myself or? Okay, when my son was 4 years old, he was diagnosed with Duchenne Muscular Dystrophy in Latvia. So this is a small European country between Estonia and Lithuania, so the Baltic country. So when he was 7, we decided that we need to move to Germany, because my husband has an original Germany roots. So when Nikita was attended to go to school for the first class, so then we decided to move. So this is a typical school for every kind of children. So in Germany works since 2000 a program where all children with physical disabilities are eligible to attend a normal school. So he is now in a 9th class, and he graduates this year a middle school. So he will have an exams, and so he lives like a normal life, have friends, plays video games, goes to for a walk with his friends, etc. This is what we were hoping for, actually, when we moved to Germany. So in my presentation, I didn't prepare a presentation, but I will speak ahead what I want to talk about. So this is about the disease and how it be treated in Germany. So about the government and the support, and about the patient organizations which are doing their job in order to support neuromuscular diseases in Germany. So about the disease in Germany. So there are approximately 3,000 patients with Duchenne muscular dystrophy being registered in Germany. There are 16 medical centers which are being certified by our national neuromuscular organization as multidisciplinary centers for neuromuscular diseases. So what we are, when we speak about the multidisciplinary care, most of all, we understand that there are multi-disciplinary team which is taking care of patients and making several exams, etc. But in Germany, it has been modified into the multidisciplinary physician, which is the so in this context we are speaking about neuropediatry, who is responsible for every exam. So here's like a main doctor who is making his or her decisions whether a patient must go to cardio exam or pulmonary or orthopedy, etc. My family live in Hamburg. This is north of Germany. So we are. My son goes to a university clinic in Hamburg. Since we moved in Germany, I found this doctor. Her name is Dr. Jessica Johansson. She's a very deep knowledge doctor who's interesting in every aspect of the disease. So she has a very strong engagement in clinical trials. So in our clinic, there are several clinical trials running. For example, Raxone, which David mentioned, this is the synthetic idibenone, which my son attending a trial. So varmorolone, this is a synthetic corticosteroid, and givinostat trial, and they are now speaking about the gene therapy as well. To the next chapter about the government, or you have questions about the care? So now let's speak about government. We have actually a very good health system in Germany, and we receive great support for patients on each kind of level. So we receive deflazacort therapy, vitamin D therapy, heart therapy free of charge. So these drugs are being prescribed by a doctor, so we can go to a pharmacy and get them free of charge. So the patients who are eligible for Atellurine therapy, they are also receiving it free of charge. But as already David mentioned, so this is only for patients who are still able to walk. Patients are being equipped with wheelchairs, standing, I don't know how to say it in English, wheelchairs with standing function, or separate standing machines. Ortheses, cuff assists, non-invasive therapy, Motomed, this is a motorized bicycle. When a kid is at home, he can use it like a therapy. As I previously mentioned, there is an inclusion in at schools. So every kid with several with different disability could go to a normal school and like a normal kid attend. So they are provided with assistance at school or out of school. In Germany, we have actually a law that every kid should go to school. So sometimes there are funny stories that even children in coma should attend a school as well. So this is the program that every child has a right to go to school, not to educate, to have an education at home. Every kid with neuromuscular disease attend a physiotherapy. You can choose in a family where do you want to go. There are no specific centers. Every physiotherapy cabinets are equipped and the physiotherapists are educated to work with a neuromuscular disease. So I will describe in English. So we have in Germany a German Neuromuscular Society. This is a very big organization which includes not only Duchenne Muscular Dystrophy, but also SMA, sclerosis disease. I don't know, unfortunately, how it will be in English. So our Hamburg organization is a daughter organization of this German Neuromuscular Society. But this Neuromuscular Society, they are working close with pharma industry, with doctors, etc., in order to provide the best care for patients around Germany. So I say goodbye. Thank you, David. Thank you, everybody, for your presentations and for your time. I hope to see you soon again. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Now we will have a speaker who comes from Pakistan, but at the moment their family, they have a patient who undergoes treatment in Belgium in a special clinic, which offers multidisciplinary approach to treatment. In Hassan's family, there are 4 members who have neuromuscular dystrophy. We would like to hear his story because his family history is quite unique. 3 members of the family who are children use wheelchairs, and the youngest child does not use wheelchair. At the moment, Hassan, his elder sister, and his mother are undergoing treatment in Belgium. And even taking into consideration the number of kids and the number of kids who have health issues, the parents still work. Hassan, we would like to hear your story, please.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and good morning to members who are just join us from other countries. And My name is Hassan, and I am from Pakistan, and I have two sisters and one brother. My elder sister, she is 38 years old, and I am 35. And my younger sister, she is almost 30 years. And then uh, my younger brother, he is almost 26 years old, and we started our symptoms in late teenage, like we were 18 or 19 years old when we started having symptoms of muscles weakness. And
Need to
Can
translate.
you let us some
okay,
to translate
all right,
for
sure.
Ukrainian speaking and Russian speaking audience?
Oh, okay,
Can you
okay,
do that like sentence by sentence, okay?
all right, all
We're
right, all
missing
right.
out many things. When you were talking about your brothers and sisters and their age, can you repeat that, please?
Okay, sure.
You all
I have two sisters and one brother.
він має двох сестер і одного брата. Ще про двох сестер і одного брата. Yeah. And their age?
And my elder sister, she is 38 years old, and I am
7 років.
and I am 35 years old.
А йому самому 35.
And my younger sister, she is 30 years old.
Наймолодший 13 років.
And my younger brother, he is almost 26 years old.
А брату 26 років.
And we all of them started having symptoms in late teenage, like we were 18 or 19 years old when we started having problem. And even I have a family of doctors, they even didn't notice something is going on, or we didn't have any kind of muscular problem before, and everything were doing all right in our life. And okay, and I don't have we don't have Duchenne muscular dystrophy. We have different kind of muscular dystrophy, that is limb girdle muscular dystrophy. And it is, I think, comes on number 3rd or 4th when we talk about muscular disease.
Ми маємо діагноз не дистрофія Дюшена.
М'язова дистрофія. Gulp. Repeat, please.
The name of the diagnosis, please.
Form of
The type of
Okay.
The type of
Okay. We have okay, limb girdle muscular dystrophy.
Gordon. This disease reveals itself later than Duchenne and is not that progressive, right?
It is progressive, but it's not faster like Duchenne. I started using wheelchair when I was almost 31 years old, like you can say 4 or 5 years ago. Before I was walking and I was doing job, I was going to work and everything. And all of my siblings, they got normal education and going to school and university, and everybody has a degree in our university and colleges. But with the passage of time, our problem getting worse every day. And in my country, there was not much, unfortunately, facilities. Even when you go to see a doctor, they don't at first say something about it. They recognize as it's a kind of general muscles weakness. You have to get some supplements, good food, and you will be okay. Okay. And like I said before, there are lots of things we were not getting in our country, and even no genetic testing facility available. And other doctors like heart or lungs and other problems, they even don't know what to do, because something we take it and very next day we get very much more sick. So it was a little bit more tricky to get adjustment with the new medication and having neuromuscular problem, because they were treating us like normal people, but it didn't work out for us, unfortunately. And my sister and I was going to physiotherapy, and physiotherapist, he even doesn't know, like we were doing exercises for an hour, and when we get back home, we feel like we have some minor fever or something, and we feel pain every inch of our body. So I thought it was we were doing like overdoing exercises or something. And even he said, oh, you should take some pain medication, and with multivitamins I will prescribe you, and uh, you will be okay. But it didn't work out, and we were not doing anymore. And I have already been to neurologist in my country, and they diagnosed me like I have a muscular problem, but they cannot help you much, because they didn't see maybe patients like us in my country, and no nothing much research or something like that, what actually we have. And because our muscles were deteriorating every single day, and it was stabilize the condition when you are going down and from other countries. And I have been contact with researchers and doctors from United States, in Australia, in Germany, and couple of other countries. And I went to the heart and lungs doctor, and they did some tests, and they said your lungs and heart in good condition, you have no problem right now, but you need to keep an eye, and every year you have to undergo some testing, and you should come and we will welcome you. But the main thing, I don't know about what I have. So I was looking and searching for like exact diagnosis, because without this, how can you say that uh, the exact problem I have? So I would say it was fortunate to contact with a organization in Italy. There was a representative, and she gave me a couple of contacts to help me to get me diagnosis, and she recommend me and a couple of hospitals in Europe. And uh, I had email couple of these hospitals, and one of them, their response was so quick, and I made an appointment in summer days, which was in Belgium. And we started packing and everything, preparing for the treatment. And we arrived here in a hospital, and we are living here in a government assisted place. And we went to the neurologist, we went to the lungs and heart specialist, we went to the physician, and we are having physiotherapy couple of days. It's just only for stretching, not doing everything excessive. And but we are not used to weather like this, because it's very cold in Europe, and in my country there are always like very much high temperature, even 40 degree or even more. So this was a little bit still we are happy to have here, and we are getting good health and a good care in this country. As we are living here, I am hoping to get the genetic testing. I am going to get the genetic testing very soon, but I think it would take a couple of months to get everything like mutation and what kind of muscular dystrophy I have, and I hope that I would get it very soon, and I can wait for the results. And it's very much a good place to live because we are in good hands and getting a good health care here. uh, and most of the things we get here accessible, of course, and we are happy living here. And this is all I want to say. And any one of you, if you have some question, you can ask, you can write email, you can have my contact. I will be available anytime for you. Thank you.
So Hassan, can I ask you a question, please?
Yeah, sure.
You talked about that the fact that you have a different type of muscular dystrophy, so it is less severe, right? Yeah. And I would like to ask you, do you know how is the situation in your country? Do you know anything about the situation in your country when it comes to Duchenne muscular dystrophy patients?
Okay, that's a good question, and I forgot to let you something about my country situation. People living with neuromuscular problems. I had a chance to meet some of the kids in my country with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and I can see and I can relate to their problems because they have nothing like when they go to see a doctor and they say, okay, this is just a normal routine visit. You have to go and eat healthy diet and light exercise, and no genetic testing, no physiotherapy, and no health management, I would like to say. So it's really terrible, and there is no organization or setup like this in my country. I hope in future maybe I would come forward and take up this step for people who are living with neuromuscular problem in my country. So unfortunately, I would say it's terrible because I only got a chance to see a couple of kids, and they were 10 years old, and one of he was, I think, 4 years old, and even 4 years old, he was unable to walk on his feet. So it was very shocking and very sad for to meet that family. Yeah.
Yeah, I have another question, but I will wait for translation to Russia if you want.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Нет.
No.
Do you want to translate to Russia?
No.
No, of course. So
You were asking about
I don't have problem.
another type of muscular dystrophy, right?
Так.
Okay, so the next question I have is, do you well, if I'm correct, Pakistan is next to India, right?
Pakistan находится
Yes.
в Индии.
So recently there was a WVDO international meeting, and I was talking with the gentleman from India, and he told me that in India they have multiple clinical trials going on. And my question is, Do you try to cooperate with India to improve your situation in your country?
Ви запитуєте про те, що курси пакистанських
Okay.
багато приїжджих
In India,
Continue. Answer his
We're
questions.
following.
Hassan, continue.
okay. Almost 4 or 5 years ago, I was in contact with Dr. Alok. He was from Mumbai, and he was leading researcher of stem cells therapy, and his plan wasn't clear about me, because he was going to recruit 100 patients for his research and treating with muscular dystrophy. But like when you are going to research something, there are lots of things, ethical issue, country laws, and stuff like that. So it was very difficult for me to visit India due to some, I don't want to mention here, some kind of politics between the two nations. So even some of my friends from India, they told me there is a genetic lab is going to start working with American labs. So I hope so. If they will allow us to visit India for any kind of thing, like even for treatment purpose, and we would not go to other countries to get some medical help. And I cannot say much anything because it's in future time predictions or something. So yes, India has lots of projects ongoing in their country, but I don't have much information.
Okay, thank you very much.
I would like to thank you, Margarita, and everyone, and participated, and it was really nice to see all of you in one platform, and hope to see you again in person, I would like to say. And thank you very much. It was really nice and amazing for me to share my story with all of you, and I wish you good luck for your working and for your so many things you are doing for people like us. And I hope you get what you are looking for. And thank you, and lots of best wishes for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we are going to continue our international conference with Terry. She is very active mother, and she is from New York. And she will introduce us her story and her son, who is 18 years old, and he studies at university, and he attends this university by himself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, so my name is Terry. Hello, everyone. And I am not from New York. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm on the East Coast near New York, but I am not New York.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for this information. I was told that you are from New York.
No, I'm on New York time, Eastern time, but we're in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So some pictures that you are looking at. This is Billy's high school picture. He graduated last June 2019. He's 19 years old. This is his high school graduation picture. He walked to receive his diploma last June.
Sorry for interruption. May I translate? Okay.
Sure, of course.
Okay.
Okay. So as you're showing pictures, because I sent Margarita quite a few, but this is Billy's high school picture. He was 18 and a half years old here. He was diagnosed at age 4.25, and I did send, this is at our FDA meeting where we went to try to get approval for his Exondys drug. So we both testified in front of the FDA. Here he is tossing a football to another patient in the trial. He wanted to show the FDA how strong he was and how well his medicine was working. So I don't know how many of you know, Billy was fortunate enough at age 10.75, before he turned 11, he was screened and enrolled in Sarepta's eteplirsen trial back in August 2011. And then this is 2016. He tested the drug for 5.5 years with 11 other patients. And then we went to the FDA to try to get his drug approved. It was a very, it was not easy. It was a very, very difficult meeting. Lots have been written about it. But
sorry, excuse me, could you go step by step? We don't have enough time to translate. I mean, can you break, make pauses within the story? We can't translate at the same time. Can you please please repeat the portion with your first trial? The first trial, which drug was that, and everything about it. The audience is really interested in that.
Yes, so Billy was diagnosed at age 4, but fast forward to 2011, August 2011, Billy was screened and was accepted into Sarepta Pharmaceutical is the drug company, and for their drug eteplirsen. So he was in the trial for 5.5 years. And in September 2016, we went to the FDA to try to get our drug approved. And this picture was taken of him tossing a football to another patient. So we both testified in front of our FDA. So it was a very difficult meeting for all of the families. There were a lot of us. There were close to 1,000 people there, the largest ever at an FDA meeting. And so we had to wait 5.5 months, and then we finally received FDA approval. That's Food and Drug Administration, our regulatory department in Washington, D.C. And of course, everybody knows we received approval in September 2016. So of course, I owe it to the drug that my son is still walking really well today at 19 years old. He turned 19 in January. And he is right now at the hospital with his dad to get his Exondys infusion this morning at 10 o'clock. It's still morning here. And then he will go to his college math class. He has a test today. So this is Billy at maybe 1.5 years. This is 15 months old. He was not diagnosed yet, but he looked healthy. He was a very happy baby, as you can tell. We didn't think there were any problems. He was a late walker. He did not walk until 18.5 months. And this is Billy. He was maybe 15 here. This is in Washington, D.C. That was taken. He had to get dressed up with his little bow tie. But he was diagnosed at age 4. And when I went back to work part-time, he had to go to daycare. And daycare, childcare was the one that alerted us that they thought something was wrong. He wasn't meeting his milestones. He fell a lot. He had trouble running, jumping, skipping, using scissors, feeding himself. He wasn't as quick as the other children. So they knew that he was delayed. And they're the ones that brought it to our attention, the childcare. This picture, when he was in the eteplirsen clinical trial, he had to have 4 muscle biopsies. So this is one of the photos, I think from the last biopsy.
Last what?
Biopsy.
Surgery. And this was the day of approval. We were celebrating the approval. Billy had Oreos and I had champagne. But at age 4, that picture didn't come up yet. That's when we took him to the doctors after daycare alerted us and told us to tell his pediatrician, which is the children's doctor, that they are suspecting muscle weakness. So after a physical therapy appointment and then the neurologist, that's when it was determined that he had Duchenne muscular dystrophy. This picture was in Australia last year. As everyone knows, Billy's drug treatment, eteplirsen, was developed in Australia by Professor Steve Wilton and his team, Sue Fletcher and his lab. And they have invited us to Australia twice, kind of like to show that Billy is an example that the drug works. So this was just last year, last February. And this is one of his senior high school pictures as well. So, you know, Billy was diagnosed at 4. Of course, it was devastating. We cried a lot for weeks because we all know it's a death sentence. So we got the diagnosis. This is not that long ago, or maybe beginning of this year. This is at the hospital. This is where he is at right now, getting his medicine via infusion. So this is a typical infusion photo that he goes to the hospital every week to get the medicine. So, of course, we were very, very sad. We went through a grieving period. And then I went through an angry period, and then I went into fight mode to fight for Billy and all the kids with Duchenne. And I actually just returned 2 days ago from Washington, D.C. With PPMD, where we advocate on Capitol Hill with other parents.
Did you get any help with your PTSD?
Did I get any what?
Any help, psychological support or help?
Me or Billy?
You.
Me.
Yeah.
I have not. I don't know how, because we've been through a lot, and it just affects the entire family dynamic. And Billy has had some emotional issues. He still does. And actually that has been more for us to deal with than the physical, because physically, I mean, he's doing phenomenal for 19 years old, and I credit the drug. He became a toe walker at age 6. And of course, he shouldn't have been walking much beyond that, but the drug brought his heels closer to the ground. He still walks on his toes, but not as high.
We have questions from mothers present here. She's asking whether he has friends, and specifically whether he has any friends with the same disease.
Yes, to both. He has a good friend at the end of our road that they've known since they were age 4. So they've known each other 15 years. His best friend does not have Duchenne. He's been a great support. He's up at our house a couple of times a week. They talk daily. So Billy is very lucky to have a good friend like that. He also has a good friend with Duchenne that the MDA connected us about 12 years ago. So he has that friend as well that doesn't live right near us, maybe 30 minutes away. So yes, he does. But it is not typical, like.
Thank you.
Yeah, Billy, even though he's doing well, he does not have your typical teenage life. He doesn't have a lot of friends. His best friend is at the end of the road. And Billy is 19, but of course he doesn't look it. He looks very young. He's very small for his age. He's only 100 pounds. I think that's around 43, 44 kilograms. And he's 54 inches tall. I'm not sure centimeters what that is. So he's very small for his age. He looks maybe like he's 12 or 13. So, you know, that has its own set of issues.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Was there anything else you wanted to know? Or I think I told most of the story. I mean, I could talk for hours, but if you have any questions, please
We know that in the US there are clinics who do research on this thing, that innovative drugs are becoming available for patients, and that there is accessibility for such patients in comparison to, for instance, our country. So we would like to know whether patients' organizations still need to do awareness raising about this issue or not anymore.
No, we still do, and that's what we did in Washington, D.C. Duchenne is much more well known now than it was even 5 years ago because of the advocacy that we do here. But many, I would say most of the population has never heard of Duchenne. So what I started doing the last couple of years is I tell people that it is the pediatric equivalent to ALS, because everybody knows what ALS is, but very few know what Duchenne is. So when I say ALS, and I'm talking about the general public, they shake their head because they know what ALS is. And I said, well, this is the children's version of it. The big difference is they don't grow up to be adults and have a career and go to college and have a family. Then they really get the severity of Duchenne. When I compare it to ALS, that's been very effective.
You've been to a conference recently, and if there are any things new any things that were new for you to hear?
At the conference in Washington, D.C.?
Yeah.
Or, no, because we go down there to advocate. We call on our legislators and ask them for continued funding and things like that. PPMD has their big conference every June. That's where we hear from the pharmaceutical companies and the doctors and the scientists. So that's where we learn about everything that's going on and the progress of the drugs and the trials. So that's coming up in June, at the end of June.
Participating in new clinical trials, or the drug you are using now is sufficient enough?
Well, it's sufficient now, and it's worked really, really well for Billy. It doesn't work the same on every patient, sadly. But for now, he's been holding stable for several years with very little decline. He is slower in walking, but he walks into the hospital every week. He walks into stores, and he uses a scooter for long distance, like airports, parks, things like that. But we know it's not a cure, and it's not helping the heart as much as we need it to. So he's on 3 heart medications, and we need to rescue the cardiac muscle. That's the big one. So all the walking, he's strong, still not like your typical 19-year-old at all. He's not like his friend that lives at the end of our road who's 18 years old, but he's like Superman for Duchenne. But he is not like your typical 19-year-old. He can do a lot for himself. He's pretty much self-sufficient. When I have to go to work, or his dad has to go to work, he's here by himself for several hours so that we can work, because we still need to make a living, right? But, we just caution him to be careful when he is. But he feeds himself, dresses himself. We help him step over into the tub when he showers, and then he sits in a chair in the shower. But right now, his drug is stabilizing him. It worked for him extremely well, but we need more. He'll need more, and gene therapy is next on the list.
Maybe you know the number of children in the United States who get this drug, as your son.
I don't know the exact number, but I think there are a few hundred. I don't know exactly, but it started out with 12. Billy was one of the first 12, and now there are definitely a couple hundred. And I do want to say that Billy has been in another clinical study for 9 years in Florida, at University of Florida. If you've heard of the imaging DMD MRI study, where they take pictures of the legs and now the arms, and they can check for muscle damage or progression of the disease through the MRI images. Do you know about that? It's proven to be very helpful to check the progression of the disease.
Can you give the name of this MRI?
It's called imaging, IMAGING, imaging DMD for Duchenne muscular dystrophy, imaging DMD MRI study.
What is DMD?
Duchenne muscular dystrophy.
Okay, sorry.
So it's been around at least 10 years. It's a study, and they can see, and the objective is, like right now, Billy's had 4 biopsies, so 4 cuts in his arms for the trial. And then they take out muscle tissue, and that's how they can check to see if the drug is producing dystrophin. So this study, the MRI study, will take thousands of pictures.
In the United States, starting which age is etaprevir prescribed?
Babies can get it now. Babies do get it. Some babies, yeah.
Скільки коштує?
How much does it cost?
It's expensive. It's a rare disease drug. It's over $1 million, and it goes by the weight of the child. So Billy is small, but the bigger the boy is, the more expensive it is, because you have to give more drug a year, annual. It's very expensive, but all rare disease drugs are expensive. It's just the way it is. So we do have trouble with insurance and them wanting to pay for it. It's always a struggle. It's not easy.
Thank you very much, Terry. Thank you for your
You're-
time.
If I can be of any help, please reach out. I talk to parents all over the world who reach out to me and telling me that Billy continues to inspire them and give them hope. If there's anything I can do, I wish I could do more. But if you ever need, if I can help in any way, just reach out. I'm here for you.
Thank you. Your speech was very interesting for us, and we are ready to fight with Duchenne too.
Yeah, I'll fight with you and for you. If there's anything I can do from here, don't hesitate. And I really sincerely mean that, okay?
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
We have to finish the online conference at the moment. But this online conference will be available for viewers on the YouTube channel. I hope our online international online meeting was useful for all viewers and participants, and I hope it will be useful for our children. At the end, I would like to show one video.
Це Даніл Ященко.
This is a video of my own family and how our family tries to fight Duchenne. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Okay, bye everybody. Thank you.